Where are all the Trump supporters? I have literally, like, it seems to me like it's one of the most obvious false flags they've ever done. They really didn't do a good job this time. And it's the more time goes, the more like the more I can look at it, the more I see it. You know, the more it's funny how that's how it works when it comes to most of history, conspiracy, whatever you want to call it. The more you look at it, the more it doesn't make sense, the more questions you have. Like, if you just accept the narrative that's given to you, then fine. But as soon as you try verifying that narrative, you end up feeling, like I say, the more you know, the dumber you are. The more dumb shit you end up saying, and you think you're being smart. You know, if you try to explain how stars are born, or you know, how the whole Big Bang bullshit, if you explain that, you sound stupid. If you explain how the International Space Station stays up in space, you sound stupid. And you know, believe me, I realized, like I was at the fireworks thing the other day, and there was this guy there that was a biomedical engineer or something like that. He was clearly a smart guy. Drove a Subaru. You know, he runs and he takes good care of himself. He's significantly older than me, but you know, other than his face and hair, you wouldn't be able to tell. Like, he's one of those guys. Drives a Subaru, like I said. And he was talking about, you know, fireworks. That on the average, I think this. What was he saying? That it travels. The sound travels like so many feet per second. Like every 5 seconds, the sound travels a mile, I believe it was saying. And, you know, this is a guy who will sound really super smart. He can regurgitate lots of shit. He could tell you how this or that supposedly works. But so much of it is, if he doesn't say it, you know, if you, sorry, so much of it is like, I'm not sitting here saying like nothing is true. You know, I know that science works and you know, all these things. But at the same time, I know it can be corrupted. All the stuff coming out now having to do with with the vaccines, and how you know, like Joe Rogan was, you know, saying I have a whatever. Like, it's funny how the fly me to the moon narrative is going to be the new thing. And I've been telling you this for a while, that their new thing is to sort of tell the truth, but just tell it in a way that isn't telling the full truth. You know, when somebody says the vaccines cause autism and you say no, you're not lying. They don't cause autism. They cause vaccine damage. Autism is something people are born with. It's something else happening there. You know, maybe vaccines cause autism from the parent side of things, what the parents got, but not you know, not the kid side of things. Man, that would be a shitty truck to do delivery in. Big old Silverado. But it's like you just don't, you're so, we're so willingly brainwashed. Even like yesterday, the Marissa chick who was doing Jesse's show. What's up, Steve? Good morning, Steve Tomato. Steve Tomato. That's a fucking great name. It's fucking silly, but it's great. I like it. I like when shit's clever and it's like you're not trying to be clever. You're maybe trying to be whatever. Or maybe that's your last fucking name. I don't know. But I like that name, Steve Tomato. Anyway, Paul. He's a dog and his name is Paul. I feel stupid. I got a real dry sense of humor, and I'm real stupid. I like stupid things sometimes. Like, it's weird. I don't like, again, I like creative stupid. I don't like stupid just for stupid's sake. Just to be stupid doesn't make sense. To celebrate stupid doesn't make sense. So like I was saying with that chick yesterday, this is the standard. This is how this generally works. Is somebody doesn't agree with something I say, and maybe because there's a history there or something, they think that like I'm gonna. By the way, if you're watching Steve Tomato, don't forget to like the video. It helps out. It's the same process every time. It's always the same bullshit. You believe it, you say it to me because you say it, I should listen to it. And it's like, but if you're my friend, or at least you've been here for, then you should understand that you're gonna get scrutinized more than just a random person I couldn't care less about. If I actually spend the time on you, that's because I care, or at least you're making a decent point. But for this idea that I should trust anything anyone says, that's fucking nuts. That's arrogant. That's arrogance on a level that, like, most people are fighting it one way or another. That same arrogance. You hate it when other people do it, but then you do it. Everybody does it. Everybody likes what I do until I do it to their thing. I have a lot of proud Trump supporters in my Facebook friends list, but I don't have time or the verbal articulation you do to discuss it with them. Well, then do me a favor and at least share this video on your Facebook page, asking people to come. This guy's looking for Trump supporters. Somebody come educate this guy. Something along those lines. Entice them. This guy's crazy. Somebody come educate him. Like, I'm trying to find people that will engage me. It seems so strange. Can I take this with me? No. Fuck no. You just had one. I never even had one. Huh?
Went on a walk.
No, I didn't. I had this. That one's from like yesterday. That one was over by the cat food. That's all I have is the roaches. That's all I smoke anymore. Thanks. But again, I want that. I'm looking for the people that are going to disagree. I appreciate fans. I appreciate supporters. Absolutely. But as far as the conversation goes, as far as the video goes, nobody wants to sit here and watch me read a bunch of people who agree with me. I shouldn't say nobody. Part of you wants that. Part of, not you, Steve, but just you in general, part of you wants to see that other people agree and say the same things. Like, you might agree with me, but you don't want to say you do because you don't want to be the only one. you know. We're really, really manipulated. I was talking to my kid about it earlier. We were talking about the whole, you know, how unbelievably manipulated black people have been. I commented yesterday that I would love to have a verbal with you, but it would be boring for both of us because we just keep going, yeah, that's what I'm just saying. Right. Well, I'm glad about that. And really, to me, like, it's no knock on you when I say I would rather have that conversation on here. I would rather you... Tell him to get the money out of his mouth. You seriously have money in your mouth? Are you out of your mind? Do you know how nasty that is, dude? That's been in people's butts.
I found that in between the couch cushions.
Dude. You know, but like I always think like I want us to talk on the live. I always want people to communicate with me here because who knows what you're saying that somebody else might agree with, somebody else might be thinking, you know. Like it's I don't have anything to hide. So if I'm gonna have a conversation with people, I'd much rather it be on here. And then, like I say, I want people to pick apart what I'm saying. If I'm getting any bits and pieces of it wrong, please let me know. If I'm wrong about the whole Jew stuff, let me know. I don't think I am. You know, I think, you know, when I look at all of my research, all of the time I've spent doing this, and trying to figure out what was the thing without any previous allegiances. You know, I'm not a Christian, so I don't come to that Christian point and go, ooh, I don't want to read that. No, I'm not a Christian, a Muslim, a Buddhist, anything. Nothing, there's no boundaries for me. Everything is open for discussion. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to openly discuss things. People think like, it's crazy how people think like we owe, like how Biden is pushing this narrative that he's going to stop pointing out the shitty things that Trump did because he got shot. Like what kind of sense does that make? And if you think Trump got shot, you're fucking stupid. I'm going with he got bladed. He bladed like they do in the WWE. He got the signal that he was supposed to fall down. He fell down, did his thing, pretending to fall down. And when he was down on the ground, he just cut his ear a little bit. That's all. It's such an obvious fake. I can't stress this enough. Where are the fucking cell phone videos? Where are all of the live feeds from during that fucking thing? Come on, how is this? How am I the only one that's saying this? Seriously, I haven't found anybody else saying this. I haven't seen this anywhere. I haven't, you know, nobody's talking about the fact that there are no cell phone videos or live feeds from that shit. And the internet should have been inundated with those videos as soon as it happened. Inundated. We have pictures of the guy on the rooftop. People have multiple pictures of the guy on the rooftop. How civilians were able to see the guy on the rooftop, but the Secret Service and whatnot couldn't. Seriously, don't you guys think about how fucking crazy this is? This has been my argument for so many years. You know, back with the Pulse nightclub shooting, you guys remember that? The largest domestic terror attack in the United States prior to like Vegas or whatever. But even Vegas, same thing. But the Pulse nightclub shooting happened in a gay nightclub. And I'm supposed to believe that not a single gay guy in that club had one or two phones and was standing there like making their little videos. Not a single dude, not a single person got their phone out, had their phone out, not a single fucking person. And this is how it is across the board. You name the thing that happened, and surprise, surprise, there's no cell phone footage of it. But this thing this was a fucking rally. This was a Trump rally. I would have been willing to bet that 1 out of 4 people was live, you know. In today's society, go look at any event ever. Go look at anything. Especially if it's dark, all you see is cell phones. People recording with their cell phones. That's what we do. That's who we are nowadays. We don't go someplace and enjoy it. We go someplace and watch our cell phone and enjoy it. It's fucking weird, but we do it. Like Trump supporters, Biden supporters, nobody supporters. It's all a bunch of bullshit supporters. It's I believe it, but I'm just not happy with my choices supporters. Anybody out there who supports this system, I'm America, America, America. Where the fuck are the videos? This is shockingly stupid, and it's shocking that people aren't. Like, again, that I'm the only one. Where the fuck is everybody else saying, hey, what about the videos? What about the live feeds? I keep thinking about what they show me on my wife's stupid Ion TV shows. She likes watching all those cop, you know, NCIS and Hawaii 5-0 and, you know. What's funny is those shows have all gotten sort of away from it. The newer shows like Blue Bloods and Chicago PD or Fire, whatever it is, Chicago FD, whatever it is, Chicago Hope, I don't know what those things are called. All those shows are, you know, the newer versions. Like they used to do the whole NCIS thing where they would have their little room where, you know, the nerdy one, the Penelope of the group or whatever it is. It's always, not always, it's usually a freaky girl. You know, Penelope, or what's the other one's name? The black-haired chick from the show. I hate these shows, so I don't really remember. But they always go, okay, here's the bad guys. And it's like, it's a theatrical presentation that somebody would have to have programmed the computer to populate things and do all that when it's, you know, you don't just click a button and it just runs it as you're explaining it, like just naturally. That whole thing would have to be programmed. But, you know, we don't talk about that, but we've gotten away from it. Stop. Put it down and stop. No, you keep violating, man. You yell at your brother for doing the same thing. I know. Sure. 5 people watching. Should have 5 shares. And again, whether you agree with me or not, I think Trump is a piece of shit. I think Biden is a piece of shit. I think the whole system is a fucking ruse to give us the illusion that we have some sort of power, we have some sort of say. But I think it's all bullshit. Either way, if you think Trump got shot or you think something else is going on, both of you should be asking, where the fuck are the videos? The other thing I think is really crazy is it's a rally. The dude on stage gets shot, and all the people positioned behind the stage in the bleachers, and all the people off camera that we can't see, none of them start stampeding. Nobody runs away. Nobody starts screaming, ah, ah, and runs off all crazy trying to, because they don't know how many shooters there are. You know, whenever there's some sort of issue like that, the claim is that they shut everything down because they don't know what other things are going on. Obviously, if this guy slipped through, then who knows if there's explosives, if whatever, they don't know. So they shut everything down and then overdo it. But this time, it was like they got Trump out of there, and then the thing just sort of winded down like it normally would. And I saw the video of them carrying the injured person, or injured people, maybe just, I only remember in one. But around that person, everybody's smiling. They're carrying an injured person, and the people all around them are smiling. Why are they all smiling? Why were there female Secret Service agents? Little female Secret Service agents. Why did the one Secret Service agent with the short hair after they got Trump in the car look like she didn't know what the fuck was going on? She couldn't even put her gun back in her holster. She was, duh. Guys, these are things you should care about. It doesn't matter whether you believe shit or not. If I believe something, but you do something or show me something that contradicts that in a way I can't just go, I can't just answer for it, then it's worth my investigation. You know, this is, I don't believe people have magic powers, right? But when people do magic tricks, I'm like, how the fuck did that happen? I know you don't have magic, but I saw you do something, but I want to know how that works. And I also know it's a magic trick. So once, you know, there is no actual magic happening, it's just an illusion. And if you just break it down, it'll actually ruin it for you because you see the illusion. But I just, you know, anybody who thinks Trump got shot, what an incredible shot. The idea that somehow Trump is facing this way when this unexperienced, swear totally he's not military at all, we promise this time, where this kid who on the day that he decided he was going to do this, he was going to sneak in with a giant rifle and lay on top of a fucking building out in the open like that and blah, blah, blah. That was the day the security just happened to be really, really lax, and it just happened to work out. And it was so obvious that there were pictures of him taken before the shooting. It reminds me of that one event. There was highly newsworthy where the big trailer street sign said, "Everyone must check in." Well, I mean, those things happen. Like, you see this all the time. So, like, anytime there's one of those shooting events or something like that, for some reason, everybody that's involved, especially if it's like a school shooting or something, they get treated like criminals and everybody's okay with it. Think about how many times you've seen supposed victims of the shooting, the people that maybe didn't get shot, but they were still victims, being led to a staging area underneath a tarp or whatever, underneath a makeshift canopy, where they're led with their hands above their heads or behind their heads, like the hands up, and they're led to this area, this staging area, where the helicopters can't see them and nobody can actually see them, where their phones are taken and they're debriefed and they're told what they're allowed to talk about and what they're not allowed to talk. Like, what the fuck is that? That happens all the time. But see, this one was even like lazier. Like, again, think about the aftermath of it. How it just sort of like, it wasn't like they locked the whole place down. They were searching everyone to make sure there weren't second, third shooters. There weren't accomplices. None of that shit happened. They were just like, okay, Trump's out of here. Everybody, thanks for showing up. Again, where was the stampede? The guy in front of you's head pops off, or at least he gets shot and he falls down and Secret Service come covering him up. Aren't you going to try to, like, get the fuck out of there in case some more shots start ringing out? I still don't know who the person that got killed was. Who was the person that got killed? What was their purpose for being killed? How did they get killed? The whole thing is just fucking weird. And what I've been saying for quite some time is the Jews aren't very smart, right? They were given this position. They were chosen to be in this position of power. And they were given the playbook. This is what you do. Every time there's insurrectionists starting to rise up this way or that way, this is how you handle it. This is how you handle it. And maybe because, again, they're stupid as fuck. They gave us the internet not thinking about the consequences. But because of the internet, they can't just do what they always did. Weren't you guys wondering why during the debate Trump kept sort of comparing himself to Ronald Reagan? I kept seeing that and being like, other than them both being actors before they were given their presidency, what the fuck? Where's the comparison there? Maybe that conservative asshole stance was sort of like Reagan was a piece of shit when he was coherent. When his battery started going dead, well, he wasn't. He just did what he's told. But I kept wondering about why they were trying to make such a strong connection, and now it makes sense. Reagan was shot in the chesticles and was back to work 3 weeks later. Do you know how stupid that is? I bet he wasn't really shot. It's the same thing with this. Guys, you got 12 people. You should be liking this video. If you're watching, fucking like the video. It helps. It helps. It helps other people who are having these conversations, who are asking these questions, find this video. As stupid as it may sound, and all it takes is just a little bit of effort on your part. Help out, man. Take 2 seconds and share this shit on Facebook. Share it with the caption, looking for Trump supporters. Trump supporters, come smash this guy. Something. Israel supporters, always looking for Israel supporters. Where are you? I know I'm really, really proud to be who I am. And it's not, I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to be who I am. I'm proud to be somebody that doesn't like having the wool pulled over their eyes and fights it every chance I can get. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that I don't accept supremacy just because it's hidden in religion or some other bullshit. I'm proud of my anti-Semitism because I know what Semitism means. And Semitism is fucking awful. And Semitism is that supremacy that we all know sort of exists. And we all joke about it, but then when it comes down to talking about it seriously, we all go, ho, hang on a second. Oh, really? Pretty shifty of you to talk, to shit talk him after getting exposure in the show. The only way I found you, I'll never dare you, any on channel, social media. Steve, give it up. He doesn't want to be your buddy. See, again, ask yourself this question. This is somebody who is mad right now because she believes that everyone in Hollywood, all the women are actually men, and all the men are actually women. And when I said, I don't think I believe that very much, let's discuss it, she got mad. Can you imagine how like that's what it's like when you talk to Christians, when you talk to Jews, when you talk to, any of them. They do that same thing. Like, you're supposed to just believe what they say because they say it. Never mind whether it makes sense or not. Never mind if you have questions about it. They're going to get mad. You're supposed to believe it because I said it. Well, I've been doing all this research. And okay, well, if you're so well versed in this topic, why do you have such a hard time being questioned? Oh, Jesus. Look at all this shit. There, check Poncho P channel. Ready for work now, dummy. I'm not commenting my position as I'm getting ready. I said I teach people, dummy. Yeah. So you can say all of this stuff, but you can't say anything that actually matters. It's always funny how people will do that. You know, they don't have time to say, they don't have time to actually answer a question or make a point, but they have time to tell you that you're stupid and that they don't have time to tell you. Like, do you guys see this? This is so typical and weird. It is so weird. I cannot imagine if people started questioning what I was saying and I got mad at them for it. Like, that's just strange. You know, especially when you're making extraordinary claims. The old saying, the old adage, extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. You know, and it's the same thing with Jesse's dumbass. Jesse's a punk, man. I flat out, Jesse is a piece of shit. Jesse is about as fake as it gets. You know, he pretends to be all about the people and all that stuff, but he's not. He's all about him and his ego. And when his ego gets outshined, when he looks like he's, you know, when he's in a position to where he's not going to win, he turns into the typical person, the typical stereotype. You know, I'm going to say what I have to say and run away. You know, I flat out asked him, I flat out challenged the guy. Like, look, dude, if I'm wrong, then you tell me what I'm wrong about. I don't understand why that's such a hard thing. Like, if I think you're wrong, I have no problem telling you. Like the goofballs that think every man is a woman. She's saying she doesn't like it because Hollywood is forcing her to be gay. Forcing gay on me. If I think a guy is hot, and it's really a chick, then they're forcing me to be gay. Like, do you understand how stupid that sounds? Do you understand how difficult that makes someone like my job? Like, for me to do what I do, trying to talk about truth, and to be associated with truthers like you, that just makes things so difficult. It's crazy. People think I'm gonna say some stupid shit like that because you say stupid shit like that. And the thing is, again, you're clearly not, like, you're not confident and you're not proud of what you believe. If you were confident and proud, then you would welcome it. Like, I welcome people questioning me and shit like that because I look at it as an opportunity to smash you in an intellectual way. If you can give me what you have an issue with, then I can address it. I can't, you know, I don't understand the you know, the belief that, you know, it's like Madison Star Moon, you know, Amanda Danielle, whatever her name is. You know, she immediately blocks people when they start questioning her, when they don't just believe her narrative. And I don't get that shit, man. The only thing that'll get you blocked in my world is if you start using weird pedo codes and trying to, you know, basically do your open air communications through my feed. To be honest, I think it would be way more interesting if instead of responding to her comments, you invited her to the live and had a verbal interaction. Yeah, but that doesn't work. That becomes a pissing contest. And the reality is, she has the advantage right now. While she's in the comments, she can come up with something good to say and make sure, you know, all the spelling is correct and whatnot, so she doesn't look stupid. But she can say what she has to say, and I have to then read it live. I don't get a pre-screening type of thing. I read it live. And then you guys see my reaction to it. You see my physical reaction and you hear my words. So if she were to say something that totally stumped me, and I did anything other than what I said I would always do, which is acknowledge if somebody stumps me, you guys are going to see that. those in the comments actually have the advantage. And the thing is, you know, look at this person. Look at how this person is communicating already. Do you really think that's going to go well with her, you know, rambling nonsense and name calling and all this? I mean, this is what happens when she's even questioned. It's not like she's like, oh shit, let me explain this to you, and here, let's talk about this. And then I go, you know what? You're saying a bunch of good stuff. Why don't I bring you on the feed so you can actually say it without, you know, like that's the normal way to do it. That's the normal way conversation happens. But when somebody starts jumping to the, dummy, I'm not going to answer any of your questions, dummy. Like, it's kind of cute to know that they talked about me on Jesse's feed yesterday. That would be great. I mean, I always invite people to tell me what I'm getting wrong. And if you can go back and point out a comment where she actually said something about what I'm getting wrong, you know, I'd love to see it. Nothing she said points to anything I'm getting wrong. I said I teach people, dummy. You teach people how to falsely identify people by their earlobes. Boy, yeah, you shouldn't be questioned. That seems like an exact science to me. And it's like, you know, again, simple things like that's not an exact science. That's actually really dangerous. Identifying people by what you decide their earlobe should look like. Like that's fucking dangerous. But, you know, that's not worth addressing, I guess. I don't know. The other thing with the, you know, bringing other people, I don't know who these people are. You know I have a large troll network that tries to get me to bring them on, and then they start yelling, or one time they whip their dick out and shit. Like, it's weird. It's weird. So, I don't know. I always think, like, you should earn it. You should entice me to want to bring you on my feed. If you're saying things that I find to be intelligent or interesting, then I'm going to want you on my feed. But if you're just some dumbass who can't even, you know, who's trumping it, who won't even answer simple questions, like, I'm not interested in that. Sorry. You know, there's so much of that out there that's so unproductive. And it's a distraction, and it sucks, and it's a you know, energy vampire situation where it takes people's energy, and, you know, just the idea of wanting to see, I want to see conflict. You know, I have no issue with somebody intelligently debunking anything I have to say. But that's not what happens. And it's frustrating. You know, it's frustrating. I wish there were more intelligent people out there who insisted on being heard. So, man, I'm fitting to be a whole lot better. You got packages for me. It's like Christmas. Like, for real Christmas, though, not adult shitty Christmas where you don't get any actual presents. Thank you, sir. Have a great day, man. I just look at it all so. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm extremely open. You know, if what you say is something I can't respond to, I'm interested in that. That's how I learn. That's how I get better. It's not like I started off this way. You know, if you follow our music at all, you'll hear the song Patriotism from way, way back. And patriotism is about, hey, we might not have voted for Bush, but we need to show solidarity with our president because all the other countries, they think we're, we can't have them thinking we're weak. And, that whole bullshit narrative, that patriotism narrative. It's interesting for me to go back and see that, like, I wrote this? No fucking way. But it's the truth. And it has its conspiracy roots in it. Like, you can see the beginnings of it. But I thought I was it was written because there was that time when Bush got off the helicopter, either got off the helicopter or was getting on the helicopter, and the soldier refused to salute him. And I was just like, oh man, 9/11, and we don't want to look weak. And, this is before I started looking. And that's all it's ever taken. For me, like when I first stumbled across the whole 9/11 conspiracy, it was on MySpace. Yeah, it was MySpace. And it was right in the beginnings of MySpace. And I was in Virginia, and I was looking for people that I went to school with, like everybody does. And I stumbled across a friend of mine that I was good friends with in like 8th grade. But when I got to his page, it was all 9/11 was an inside job, and he had all these different videos posted on his page, thermite videos and all this shit. But when I first saw it, I was like, oh, dude, no, don't do this. That's bad. And then as soon as I started going through, like, wait, wonder why, what do these videos say? I don't have the allegiance. I don't go, well, although this video is showing me clear evidence that something fucked up is going on, I just believe in my government, so I'm not gonna look any harder. Like that, I can't do that. Especially when I know what our government is capable of. The 1976 swine flu vaccination program is the smoking gun when it comes to vaccines. It's the undeniable argument that it's all fucked up. And there's a lot of pieces to it. It's not like it's just something you say, oh, well, here's this. There's so many pieces to it that are right there. It's not like you got to go deep into the conspiracy realm. Just look at the official Wikipedia narrative. And for those that, Wikipedia, blah, not the official Wikipedia stuff. There are government-sponsored Wikipedia pages that the average Joe isn't able to fucking edit any way they want to. And those are supposedly official narrative pages. So you go look at the official narrative and what they want you to know about the 1976 swine flu, and they tell you it's all bullshit. It's just like hepatitis B. Hepatitis B, Guillain-Barré syndrome, GBS. But hepatitis B is something that only comes from vaccines. It's so fucking crazy. But it's you realize, like, it's only vaccines that hepatitis B is a thing for. It's so fucking crazy. And so you the more I keep saying it, the more you educate yourself, the dumber you have to be. Do you guys know that according to the narrative, humans in the Western world didn't have a concept of zero until at least 1100, in between 1100 and 1300 AD. Did you guys know that? So you have to believe that all of the ancient structures that that they say have been around since either that time or long before it, all of those structures and shit, they didn't know they didn't have a concept of zero. They were able to build all that shit without the concept of zero. Which again, if you don't have zero, then how do you have 50? How do you have 107? Shit like that. Like, how do you have, without zeros, without the concept of zero, how do you math at all without a concept of zero? That's why, in 525 or whatever it is, when Dionysus decided that we should be under the AD calendar, the AD, the years, the calendar is now AD, 2000, AD, blah, blah, whatever AD. That he just decided that the year they were in was 525 AD. That it goes from -1 BC to +1 AD. There is no year zero because they didn't have the concept of zero back then. That is your official historical narrative. And I always think, like, as soon as I start getting into this stuff is all just distraction, because it's a bunch of shit that I'll never know the truth for unless we, the people, the Goyim, band together and overthrow the Jews that control our narrative, that control our perception. Even something as fucked up and simple as this, well, we don't really know the truth because there's the whole Tartaria stuff. Like, I've been talking about this, posting this in the Tartaria pages. All of the people that believe in Tartaria, all the people that believe, in the idea of resets and stuff like that, don't you think it's about time we get rid of the slavery narrative and the white supremacy, Native American genocide narrative? Because if you believe in Tartaria and all that stuff, well, then when did the slavery shit happen? But see, again, as much as I love talking about it, it's all a distraction. It really is. Tartaria is one of the best distractions they've given us because it's true, because it's so obvious. But until we overthrow the Jews that control our perception, we're just spinning our tires, arguing about what they want us to know. All the research you do that's on the internet is given to us, is allowed to be there. They censor what they don't want us seeing. We know that. Guys, if you're watching, share it. Don't forget to click the share. Don't forget to click the like button. If you're watching my shit and you're watching for any longer than 5 minutes or 2 minutes and you're not clicking the live button, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are we doing? Shouldn't we be helping each other? If you're clicking on this page, you already are in that conspiracy world, I would imagine. At least a little bit. You know that they do this kind of shit. You know they fuck with us. Why aren't you trying to override it? We need to... How many of you watch First Amendment auditor videos? Right? Those guys are fucking heroes. Those guys have balls to the moon. But at the same time, I can't help but question why YouTube allows it. And I think what I can understand, what I've gathered, is that guys like DirectD are fucking amazing. DirectD he's just good. He's a good-looking guy. He's got a nice voice, but he's also super fucking smart. And he's confident, and because he's done the research necessary, his confidence is through the roof, knowing that the only way that they can ever violate him is to violate him, and it can, and it's just gonna strengthen his channel, all of that stuff. It's a system that's that works in a strange way. Press NH Now is another one of those guys that's really great. Long Island Audit, another guy that's really great at what he does. But the reason those guys are so good is because they're so confident. And they make it look easy because they're so confident. So then your average person who hasn't done nearly the research, doesn't have nearly the confidence that they do, thinks that they can do the same thing and gets themselves arrested, gets themselves shot. There's a kid right now that forgot his name, but he just shared the video about, I think his last name's Allen. This kid who you know, was driving in a car that was all tinted out. He was one of those guys that, you know, the sorry, I just got distracted by a phone call. The Constitution, like you know, I don't have to have registration. Like that's the Direct D group guys. Their shit's all legit. His car is registered. His insurance is paid. His license is as good as he knows it to be. And so when this guy starts saying things like, I don't need to, you know, I don't need to have a driver's license, or I don't need to, like, he puts himself, he's not Direct D. He has a gun in the car. He's, you know, all these things. He gives these fucking idiot cops that are just looking for a reason to fuck you up, the reason to fuck you up. And because they know there's qualified immunity and there's no repercussions for what they do, they're quick. They're looking for the reason. You know? It was, you have to look at that, man. When you understand the level of censorship that is out there, like when you understand the concept of they give us this system, it's free. I was talking about this yesterday. I've talked about it before. I actually wrote a song about it, one of our songs called Charge for Change. Facebook has 2.9 billion users worldwide. So Facebook could charge people $1 per month, put it on their phone bill. Nobody'd have if your phone bill went up by $1 a month, who's going to complain about that? Nobody. Everybody's just going to be cool about it. And Facebook could make essentially $36 billion a year in profit that they could just split amongst their executives or do whatever they want, on top of everything else. But instead they give it to us for free. Why do you think they give it to us for free? Let's see. I work, apparently. So again, this person has the ability to type all of this crap, but doesn't have the ability to type simple responses to questions. If that doesn't tell you everything, like there's a few things that you can always tell with people. When people start arguing their own narrative, when they're arguing something you didn't say, and you go, I didn't say that. They know you didn't say that. But they're arguing a narrative that makes their argument legit, or at least more legit, because they know they can't argue your narrative. And that's what you're seeing here. I've already done tons of shows. I have my own channel. I'll be on the Missing Link live in September. I don't have time to chit chat in the AM. I work. This person has been here numerous times in the morning chit chatting. She's already done multiple chit chats on this thing talking about how she can't chit chat. Instead of, and again, you believe this thing, right? She believes that all men are women and all the women are men and they're forcing gay on you and they're blah, blah, blah. Given the opportunity to explain yourself or to, you know, elaborate on that extraordinary claim, you would think this person would jump all over it. But nope, nope. Just more bullshit. This is how this works every time, people. And why would I ever want something like that on here? What do you honestly, you can't honestly, like, my goal isn't to just trash people. You know? My goal is education. My goal is advancement, is progress. To bring somebody on because I know I'm going to make them look really stupid, that's a mean thing to do. I'm not trying to do that to anybody. I'd much rather it be in the comments where you can at least, you know, have some sort of sense of anonymity. Come on, anonymity in that. So you can at least be somehow anonymous. Let's go with that. You can at least have that little level of anonymity. There we go. Like, I can't get away from it. But like, I can't, you know. I don't understand. I don't understand people that are afraid of confrontation. People that are afraid to be questioned. Especially if you're the type that's making outrageous claims and shit. Like, all the stuff I talk about, can you imagine if I got mad at people? You know, I think everything points back to the Jews. But oh, look, square clouds. Gotta love those right angles in the clouds. Oh, look. Perfect steps. 1, 2, up, 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 up. That's just natural, normal. That's just what clouds do. It's not how digital clouds work or anything, but that's a whole different thing. It's a whole different topic. It's fucking weird, man. It's definitely weird to be your own person, right? Like the whole idea of, you know, the men are all women and the women are all men, blah, blah, blah. That's not your thing. Somebody else was saying that and you latched onto it. You're not the pioneer of that. And I know I'm not the first person to say the Jews, this, that, but I don't know anybody else saying what I'm saying. I know lots of dumb people saying, you know, with that are just, you know, they've been tricked into being bigots. The whole trans gay phobia bullshit bigotry is everywhere. And it's such a fucking powerful distraction. And I don't even understand it. Like, I don't understand it at all. Well, I don't understand any legitimate reasons, right? I get that, like, you know, you're jealous of those people for if you got that gay stuff inside you and you're suppressing it mainly because of religious bullshit or whatever. I get that you would hate them for that. But you don't have to be gay. If you're just an insecure person, you know, you're somebody who thinks differently and you're unnecessarily insecure, you know, you're decent looking, but you think you're ugly, or what, you know, that kind of bullshit. To then see somebody that's supposed to be a pariah, somebody that's supposed to be, you know, hidden behind closed doors and all that stuff. How dare you be comfortable with the fact that you're gay? And I think that's what the bigger source of the jealousy is. You know, that wishing you could be as free. You're normal and you're not as open and confident and happy as that gay person is. This person's not normal and they're happy. How dare they be? Shouldn't they be just as depressed as you are? And I think that has a lot more to do with it than people tend to acknowledge. You know, and then we have, because of the society we have, we end up dealing with these insane things like men, used to be men competing with women. That shouldn't exist. Unless the women are all okay with it, all of the competitors that are like, yeah, I don't care, I still think I can beat that person, then that's one thing. But in physical competition, like, it's really weird because it brings out this argument that women have been trying to suppress for years. right? Women don't want to acknowledge men's physical superiority to them. Women want to talk about anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. But it's not true. And it's like, it's okay. Like, it's just so weird. Like, isn't it strange how a woman wanting to be a housewife and stay home and raise her children and be a quote, good wife, you know, that's somehow a negative in our society? That is so weird. A woman who likes cooking and cleaning and raising the kids and all that, doing the projects and PTA mom and all that, that's somehow some sort of pariah in our society. And the biggest pushers of that are women. Women acting like, no, no, no. What really makes you a woman is if you go out there and you get a slave job that you hate. Yet at the same time, we live in a society where a woman can be a wife for 30, 40 years or whatever. And when the husband dies, the money stops coming in because it was the husband's Social Security. I think a living wage given to at-home spouses is a much better use of $3.8 billion a year than giving it to fucking piece of shit savage Israelis. I can tell you that. Sure would strengthen our economy. Sure would make things a lot better at home if we used that $3.8 billion that we just sort of make out of thin air and giving to Israel. You know, sure would be much better used at home, but they've convinced you not to talk about these things. They've convinced you that if you hear the word Jew, you should shut down. You can't say that. Don't say that. That's like saying nigger. They've convinced you as white people that you're not allowed to say nigger. You know how racist that is? Like, it's so fucking weird. They've convinced black people to commit crime at the utterance of a word. I'm gonna commit a crime against a stranger because he says a word. Sounds like MK Ultra to me. The biggest MK Ultra project they ever did was convincing the population that MK Ultra was shut down. Oh no, they stopped that. When they got really good at all the brainwashing stuff, we found out about it, so they stopped doing it. It's also stupid. It's really, it's like so much of it exists in that, you know, under that umbrella. Under that umbrella, Ella, eh. So many things exist under that, wow, that stupid umbrella. But because it's the official narrative, you better believe it, or else people are allowed to bully you and make fun of you and, you know, all that shit. You better not say you don't think we went to the moon, because that just opens up those floodgates. If you say I don't think we went to the moon, or the earth isn't round, it's not a round ball flying through space, well, that makes it okay. Then people can tease you, they can, all that shaming and all that shit. Like, it's like thought shaming, right? That's the new thing, is thought shaming. The government, the system, guys like Neil deGrasse Tyson, they're experts at it. That if you think things differently, if you ask questions about the information that you're given and you don't just accept it, you say, hey, I read over this and this doesn't quite add up. This doesn't quite make sense. Can you explain it a little bit better? That somehow, that makes you a target. You're allowed to be targeted at that point. You know, I don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe in God. I think that's all bullshit. Oh, now I can target you. Now I can discriminate against you. You know, I find out that you don't believe in God. I can not give you the job and all that shit. The funniest thing is, it's like the atheists are the last ones to do it. If you can show me the last time there was a big shooting or some sort of nefarious activity, terrorist activity, whatever you want to call it, and it was perpetrated by an atheist, I'd love to see it. You know, it's always Christians. It's always religious people. And even if there are the occasional atheist stories, of which, again, I don't know of, they pale in comparison. It's the same thing as, like, how everybody talks about, you know, all these fucking, like this Marissa dumbass, right? Her whole thing is that she's trying to protect the children. She's trying to protect the children because the trans and the gay stuff is being pushed on the children, What about the religion that's been pushed on the children, that's one, made them slaves made us goyim slaves for fucking millennia, or at least as long as we know existed. And two, allows for these fucking, these pedophiles to have access to children all the time and then be protected by the system. I don't see you fucking up in arms about that. I can guarantee you there are exponentially more cases of a church person or a Hollywood person or a government person, but mostly church people, violating children compared to the Boy Scouts, compared to any sort of gay anything, trans anything. Like, there aren't those stories. The guy that wants to live his whole life as a woman, so nobody knows he's a woman, he goes into the woman's bathroom and violates a child. Show me that story. Show me multiple examples of that story. Because when you compare it to religion, when you compare it to the church, it's not even close. All of your gay transphobia bullshit, it pales in comparison to the church. So if you really were all about protecting the children, you'd be focused on the church, you asshole. You guys are assholes. And the thing is, it's because they know that there's a huge gay and trans population, whether out in the open or in the closet. And they know that as long as they have us divided amongst that, like one of the reasons why they have this idea that men and women are in competition, these are all distractions to keep us from focusing on them, from being united. If men and women were united, women were like, fuck yeah, guys are much better at sports than we are. That's cool though. We like to play and you know, some people like to watch it, so that's cool. That would be a whole different story. Sitting here with the WNBA deserves just as much as the NBA players do. They deserve to get paid just as much. Are you out of your fucking mind? But that's how they do it. They have us, you know, straight. They have homosexual and heterosexual fighting each other. Well, mainly it's heterosexuals sort of attacking and fighting the homosexuals. But that's a huge portion of the population that's now divided amongst something that is stupid. It's something that people are born that way. You can't convince somebody who doesn't want to put a dick in their mouth to put a dick in their mouth and be like, oh, this is cool, I like this. Nobody. Dicks are gross. If you don't like dicks, dicks are gross. And it's the same thing with vaginas. You can't get a gay guy to go put his face in a vagina. Come on. He's not going to do that. That's going to be gross to him. He can't just close his eyes and pretend it's a butt and pound away. And you can't convince a non-pedo person that it's okay to fuck with children. No non-pedo thinks that's okay. You can't show them videos. You can't pray them into nothing. Just like it's the other way around. If somebody is pedo, you can't get rid of that. That's just what it is. That's why we just kill them, because it's not going to go away. But it's these are this is the average mentality. I don't know a single person that thinks we should not kill pedophiles. You get caught violating a child. Everybody I ever know thinks that you should be killed. That's it. Kill him. Kill him right there. So why doesn't our society reflect that? Well, who's in charge of our society? Who's in charge of the rules? That's why I say everything's a distraction, because at the end of the day, it always comes back to who? Who is in charge? Who's doing it? Oh, shit.
I think it's 11.
At the end of the day, people believe what they want to believe. Yeah. It's after 11. Okay, so you can do your thing real quick. Okay? That's it. You know, I'm doing what I always do, which is run my mouth about shit that most people either don't think about or have thought about it, but have convinced themselves to believe one way or another. And sort of go about your life, even though, you know, it all bothers you. Like, you see it. You see how fucked up everything is. The one group that everybody's quick to talk about when it comes to conspiracies and the way the world works and all that is they. Fuck. Oh no. Everybody's quick to blame they. You know? Everybody loves blaming they for everything that goes on. And instead of us talking about they, why aren't we talking about what we all know to be true? You know? Why aren't we talking about the thing they tell us we're not supposed to talk about? God damn it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Like I said, everybody believes what they want to believe. At the end of the day, it literally comes down to the narrative you've been given, who gave it to you, and how well they presented it. That's get out of here. Get out of my butt. You don't have any you don't have any legitimate reason to believe, 99% of the shit you believe. You're just told to believe it, and you know in your head, you've been well programmed enough to know that if you speak out against it, you're gonna pay for it. You've seen what's happened to someone like me. What? Okay, you can have that 2 minutes or whatever if you need it. I understand that. I'll clean it up when I'm done with this. The reality is, again, to me, I don't get any enjoyment out of the Marissa situation, right? To me, it's really actually disappointing. You know, this person who has been supposedly a part of my feed for a while, likes what I do, blah 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 blah. It's always a worry of mine doing this because I know that as soon as people realize that whatever the thing is that they want to believe, that I don't believe that one thing, it's strange how everybody, you know, we've been so well programmed by the straight white Christian society that we live in that everybody acts that same way. You know, the whole, you know, if you ask anybody, why do you support Trump? They're going to immediately start talking shit about Biden. Give you an answer for why they support Trump, but they're going to talk shit about Biden because that's just how the narrative has been given to us. And you know, they don't know. No Trump supporter knows a single fucking policy that Trump's running with. You don't know a single damn thing that Trump's, you know, a single, you know, a thing that Trump's going to run that's going to change. You know, you don't know. He vaguely talks about border bullshit and all that, but you don't know anything. Biden side at least gives some examples of what they plan on doing, but
Thanks, Dad.
they have to because you're welcome. They can't just be dumb assholes about things, and that's not the character that's expected of Biden. You know, Biden's expected to be the better one at this. It's the Trump that's allowed to be the fucking asshole, that's allowed to be the loudmouth, that's allowed to not answer questions, and you know, it's all the same bullshit. And it's like that with everything. It's like that with every situation you try to, you know, like I say, everybody just believes what they want. They believe what they want. They get their feelings hurt if you don't believe the way they do. They take it as an attack, you know, some sort of personal attack. And it's a really strange, we've all been programmed to argue this way. We've been programmed to respond this way. Instead of embracing the differences and differences of opinion and enjoying the challenge of somebody, you know, not necessarily believing what you believe, people, like I say, they take it like personally. Oh, that's a personal attack on me because you don't believe the same bullshit I do. Like I say, it's boring. I wish Marissa actually came in, and instead of it being a pissing contest, which is always fun to have with a female, guarantee I can piss farther than any female can. But you know, that it always turns into that asking simple questions or pointing out simple contradictions immediately turns into that weird pissing contest. I so wish she had actual information and actual things that she could argue with instead of just, you know, basically, I think it's gross. Because that's all it is. It's just funny how we do that. Like, people act like, dude, I don't want to see dudes kissing in public and shit. That's gross. And I get it. As a straight man, I've been programmed that same way. But I also look at things a little differently and think, well, I don't like sitting there watching straight, you know, man and women couples make out and shit. That's not my thing. If you've ever been lucky enough, and we all have been, to be the third wheel in something, or God forbid, the fifth wheel, and you're watching the two couples around you dig each other and make out and shit, that's not fun. You're not like, oh man, this is so great because it's straight people and it's beautiful. Yeah, no, kiss her. Get your tongue really. No, do that. No, now squeeze her. No, you girl, you gotta grab his junk, okay? Like, you're not doing that. You're like, come on, guys, knock it off, because you don't want to see that shit. Because kissing noises, everything about sex and kissing and all, it's gross. It's fucking gross. That's why you do it with people you like. You don't just start making out with somebody you're not attracted to. That would be gross to you. You're definitely not going to stick your parts inside their parts or vice versa. And you know, because, well, that's just what we do. We're just dogs. We just smell each other's butts. That's all good. We don't do that shit. But pretending like it's somehow some sort of crime or something when it's two dudes doing it. You definitely, most people sure do like watching chicks make out. There used to be that chant on the Jerry Springer show, "We love lesbians. We love lesbians." Like, dude, why do you love lesbians? Lesbians don't like you. You're gonna watch them, oh, there's girls and they're kissing. Oh. You know, it's great and all, but it's nothing to lose your shit over. But that we're all programmed to be that way. It's wild when you start looking into all of it and you start making these connections. Like, do you know that the whole redneck personality is a Jewish creation? They created that. They were really good about destroying the black population and dumbing the black population down. But they needed something to appeal to the poor whites. They needed their nigger of poor whites. And they created it. You know, when you look at like the history of bluegrass music, bluegrass was initially played by classically trained musicians. And they would come down to the South where there was one main station that broadcast all across the country somehow. We can't do that now, but they could back then. Back in the early 20s and 30s somehow. But they would, you know, these classically trained musicians would come down and they'd be really good. And they'd be Jews. But the promoters, the people in charge would tell them, okay, you guys, you know, you're now the Soggy Bottom Boys, and put on some overalls and put on some black on your teeth and make it look like you ain't got no teethus, and make your hair stand up and talk like you from the shelf. You do. The Beverly Hillbillies do. Then you get shows like Hee Haw, again, where you have a bunch of Jews pretending to be fucking idiot rednecks. And that they just created that. They created that whole persona. People in the South weren't like that. That distinguished accent that you hear like coming out of like South Carolina and shit like that. Yeah, that was a lot more common. But, you know, I always say, there's a movie about a documentary film from the 80s about Rikers Island. And, you know, it's just a typical prison documentary, but if you were just listening to it, other than the occasional black guy that talks like this, you'd never know the difference. You wouldn't be able to tell if it was a white or a black guy talking. They weren't talking about my mother and my brother. My mother and my brother came over the other day. You know, that whole New York bullshit wasn't there. They created all of that shit. They used the music to create all that shit. Music is one of the most powerful weapons that exists, and they have complete control over it. And all they give us is the same stupid fucking bullshit over and over again. I'm supposed to believe that Aubrey Drake is a fucking gangster? The guy from Degrassi High? The half Jew from Degrassi High? He's a gangster? He's a gangster rapper? Shut up. It's also stupid. It's also fucking stupid, the glorification of the hood and all that shit. I remember when I was a kid, there was this documentary on HBO, the Bloods and the Crips documentary, about how, you know, it had spread into these urban white, you know, poor white areas. But I'm sure you guys, if you're anywhere close to my 45 years, then you know what I'm talking about. And I watched it not too long ago, and it was white and it was black. There was the black guys too. It was so fucking lame. It's so lame, and I remember being a kid and thinking those guys were so cool. Looking at it now, I'm just like, my God, how did they ever brainwash us like that? How the fuck did they do that? What people neglect to understand, neglect to mention, or even think about, is like when it was Kanye, right? When Kanye supposedly broke all the rules and lost the $2 billion and all that, so many of you thought Kanye was going to suicide himself. And I was telling you the whole time, Kanye's just doing what he's told. Kanye is just doing his job. And you know how I know? Because we wouldn't know about it if he wasn't. How many other tweets has Kanye made that you know about? How many other things has Kanye done that you know about, especially in recent years? Kanye puts out albums and you barely know about it. But because Kanye made some vague nonsense, I'm going DEFCON 3 against the Jews, some bullshit threat like that, somehow he's the talk of the world. You know what was happening at the same time? They were putting Netanyahu in charge so they could begin the process of this genocide that's happening right now. I can sit here and I can literally do it for you. I can present you with, like, when you think about most of the things that you believe it because you're told to. You don't believe it because you've been shown a convincing narrative. You just believe it because that's what you're told to, that's what your parents believe, that's what the people around you believe. If you don't believe it, you'll get made fun of. So you just sort of believe it. But when you step back and you start to think, like, why do I believe what I believe? You realize there's no substance there. I can show you exactly how and why this genocide has been planned for quite some time. And it's been put into play, like that Kanye West had a huge part in it. You know, like when Kanye came out and did what he did, said what he said, and then Kyrie comes out and posts a link. Basically, what they're doing is they're sending warnings to all of us. So Kanye is a representative, is a warning to someone like me, someone who's willing to say things, and they flat out told us there's 3 things that Kanye did that we're not supposed to do. Kanye made a threat against the Jews. He said he can say anything he wants about the Jews. And he talked about the conspiracy with the Jews, that Jews are in everyone's contract. So that's that warning that if you do any of those 3 things, then well, Kanye lost $2 billion. What's going to happen to you? That's what that's supposed to be. It's supposed to be something to someone like me. Now, Kyrie was the representative for the watchers, for anybody watching. So when I say, hey, share this link, share the video, come on, share it with the tagline, somebody come, put this idiot in his place, do whatever you got to do. Kyrie just posted a link. He didn't say anything. He didn't tell people to watch it. He didn't put the title from Hebrew to Negro. He didn't do anything but post just a link, and he got in trouble. And again, he's got lots of Jew lawyers and lots of money. He got in trouble. What's going to happen to you if you share my link, if you share a video? And just in case you guys didn't get it, in case everybody didn't get it, Dave Chappelle just happened to be booked as the guest on Saturday Night Live that following week. And he so eloquently explained it all to you. He started off by reading a little note saying, I just want to say these are all jokes that were approved by Lorne Michaels, just so you guys know. Like, he didn't say that exact thing, but you got to think about it. Dave doesn't just come on TV. Like, Saturday Night Live doesn't just bring people on. they're scheduled months in advance, so they can work out the schedule and get around all the other people's, prima donna schedules. But Dave's monologue had to be read for the producers, had to be read for the Lorne Michaelses of the group so it could be approved. It wouldn't just be allowed on TV without approval. But Dave read the disclaimer saying, please don't fuck with me. I'm just telling jokes, and I love my Jewish friends and my Jewish people. I worship you. Don't worry. And the first thing he says is, I've been in Hollywood a long time, 30 some years, and in that time I've learned that there are two things you do not say and anything good comes afterward. Those two words are the and Jews. And he just kept making jokes about how Jews control things and we should just be okay with it. And then at one point, he says, well, and there is one thing I have to say is that the Jewish people cannot blame black people for what's happened to them in the past, for like the Holocaust and shit like that. You can't blame black people. And when he said that, the room went absolutely quiet. Nobody clapped, nobody said anything. And then somebody finally went, yeah. And Dave was like, yeah, he gets it. And then everybody laughed again. And then he brought Trump up a little bit. And then he ended. But it was basically 12 minutes of him sucking Jew ass and, telling you the ins and outs of what had just happened over the past few weeks with Kanye and Kyrie and what you were supposed to take away from it. He laid it all out. It's interesting, right? Isn't it interesting? And at the same time, they kept saying, the most conservative, right-wing, religious government that Israel has ever known has been put in place. Ben Gvir, Bezalel Smotrich, Avi Moaz, and Benjamin Douchebag Netanyahu all got put in place by the people. The Jewish people in Israel voted him in overwhelmingly. They won by quite a lot, actually. And they ran under the premise that they were going to do the judicial overhaul and they were going to retake the Gaza Strip. They ran on that. In early 2023, Israel bought 42,000 slaves from India. Now, I say slave, they say supervised laborer, but 38,000 were earmarked for construction jobs and the other 4,000 were earmarked for elderly care. They're not allowed to do anything else. What do you call them? Here, you get to come over here. We're buying you from India, and you come do the shit jobs that we're not doing. And we're not taking care of these elderly people. They're horrible. And we're definitely not doing the construction. We want the shit to last. And you know what? It just so happens that this genocide has killed about 42,000 people so far. What a surprise! Guess whose lives haven't been interrupted in the slightest? The Israelis. Guess why? Because of us. At least a month ago, the U.S. had given Israel $16.7 billion since 16.7 or $16.8 billion since October 7th. They have everybody distracted with this $200 billion going to Ukraine. That shit's never going to happen. But if they siege you and they say, well, we're going to give $200 billion to Ukraine, and you're going, no, not 200 billion, 200 billion, 200 billion. And they go, okay, well, we're going to give 16 billion to Israel. You're like, well, that's not 200 billion. So 200 billion, you're not even paying attention because you've been fucking distracted. This notion that Israel is the victim That's rude, Jessica. You know, the whole thing is just, it's an abomination. I have no ties to Palestine. I'm actually not even like pro-Palestine per se. You know, I think Palestine's fucked up. And what we're talking about, Palestine pre-1948? Like that's a whole different thing. And then Palestine pre-1918 or 19 whatever it was when the British took over. We're talking about like 100 years ago. Well, that doesn't even count. But anything that's got that, you know, Muslim dictatorship, well, Palestine's full of Christians too. So people always seemingly forget. And it's interesting how the Vatican is so. The only time I've heard the Vatican make statements about what's going on with the Israel-Palestine situation is on October 7th when they condemned the attack. The surprise attack that killed around 1,200 people in Israel. Not 1,200 Israelis, 1,200 people in Israel. I will fucking stand on the hill. I'll die on the hill that no Israelis died on October 7th and no Israelis were taken real hostage by anyone. It's all just a fucking show. And the evidence is just everywhere. You don't have evidence to the contrary. And again, these are these arguments where it's like, I could absolutely, if we decide, if people go, you know what, this is what we want to hear about today, then that's what I'll talk about. But that's going to take, these aren't simple situations where you just flick the light switch on or off. There's a whole bunch of programming that I have to override in your head. And I have to present you with multiple, you know, pieces of evidence to get that programming to be overwritten. But it's there. It's really obvious, actually. You have way more evidence that it's a false flag genocide operation than you do Israel is the victim. And this yet another one of these things where it's so surprising that I just can't find any proud Israel supporters. There are all these closet Israel supporters, clearly, that's everywhere. But to have somebody that comes on a feed and says, no, I'm proud of my support for Israel, and this is why, it doesn't exist. You know, I've been asking for a long time. I always do. Looking for people that disagree with me. The whole transgender gay agenda thing, like the transgender agenda, gay agenda, I don't believe it. And it's actually pretty embarrassing that truthers can be such bigots. And I've been desperate. I've wanted somebody to come talk about this one for a long time. And so you get somebody that claims to be somebody that teaches other people how to misidentify people. And that person can't even have a simple conversation. Why would you know, like you're just like everything else, where, you know, you're teaching people who want to see it. They're not just sitting there minding their own business and you go, hey, check this out, and then they're like, oh wow. These are people that are already bigots. They're already in that bigot fucking tree. And you know, they're easy. It's easy to convince the willing. You know, the number one thing with religion is that you have faith. If you have faith, then every time you come to one of those obstacles where fucking common sense would blow that shit out of the water, you have faith that it's true anyway. That's how that shit goes, man. We should all be embarrassed. We should be, you know, we should be embarrassed. We should be trying to openly make things better. And instead, we just want to sort of bitch about the things they tell us to bitch about. You know, I've said it 100 times now. I don't understand what Trump supporters were watching during the debate. If I was a Trump supporter, I'd have been embarrassed. You know, if somebody then asks me, hey, why do you support Trump? What platforms is he running on that you support him on? And you don't have any, that's embarrassing. You watch an entire debate and you don't have a single platform that you can suggest that he's running on? Why would you support that man? Why do you believe in voting in the first place? Like, you know, it's happened in the past, and you know, the internet is the most important weapon that we have, because it's connected us unlike we've ever been connected, or at least that we know we've ever been connected. So when these fucked up things happen, like when the Electoral College stepped in and put George Bush Jr. in office both times because he lost. Those were the first times that had happened in like modern history. The third time that happened was with Trump. Every other time that there's been an election, the guy that gets the most elections wins the election, or the most votes wins the election. Think about that. Think about how stupid that is, to think that every other time, like, and what other elections work that way? Show me another election where the person that gets the most votes doesn't win. But the only 3 times that's happened in modern history was George Bush Jr. twice and Trump. And what you saw was, in 2016, we overwhelmingly voted for Hillary. They can downplay it all they want. 2.7 million more votes going towards Hillary is a lot, especially considering, you know, a lot of people didn't vote. The majority of the population doesn't vote. That's why they have to have these brainwash campaigns. Vote or die, vote or die. I found it hilarious that after the 2016 election, where they clearly showed us that our votes don't matter. Hillary won and then lost and just rode off into the sunset. She was set to be the first female president to go down in all of history forever as the first female president. And instead of fighting for that position, she was just like, oh, okay. Trump actually lost in 2020 and fought like he won. Hillary won and was like, okay, I'm cool with it. Like, that's how you know it's all bullshit. She wasn't supposed to win. They did everything they could to try to convince us to vote against Hillary, even to the point where, like, the Friday, the week before the elections, they break this story about Danny Williams, D-A-N-N-E-Y Williams, who is Bill Clinton's illegitimate child that everybody's known about, but they're just now breaking this story, trying to make Hillary look bad. And you know, the confirmation, the DNA test was set to be confirmed the day the polls started, the day the polls opened or some shit like that. But they were doing everything they could to make it sound like they supported Hillary, but just expose every they tried to convince us not to vote, or not to. They tried to convince us to vote for Trump, even though they were pretending they were on Hillary's side. And so they showed you that voting doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter at all. But then for the next 4 fucking years, well, the next year they sort of let it simmer, 2 years or so. And then when the next election was starting to rear back up again, and it was the 2020 election was like much more drawn out than this one has been. You know, in the 2020 election, there were all of these candidates, and any one of them that won would have been the first Jewish president, openly Jewish president. And no one talked about that. And there were multiple. There were, you know, Bloomberg and Sanders and Klobuchar or whatever her name was, and like all of these Jews, tons and tons of Jews. Nobody ever talks about the first Jewish president. They don't want us talking about that. Openly Jewish president. But what you did see over and over again at this time was voting commercials centered in a barber shop. Bunch of black guys sitting around at the barber shop talking about, damn dog, you know, we can't be complaining about this shit if we ain't out there be voting, because, you know, if we ain't be voting, then shit, we might as well be laying down in our graves, dog. And, you know, they're at the barber shop because that's where black people hang out. And it seemed like this huge focus was on trying to get black people to vote. When black people make up 13% of the United States population, that's all of them. So you probably have to half that number when you're talking about eligible voters. Then you got to take out criminals and all that shit. Then you got to take out all the people that don't want anything to do with voting because they think it's stupid. And you're probably left at like 1 to 2% of the population, of the black population that actually votes. Or 1 to 2% of the total population that is black that votes. There's a difference there. The idea that Jews make up 2 to 4% of the United States population, 0.183% of the world's population, but 2 to 4% of the United States population means, again, you have to have that. So 1 to 2% of the population are eligible Jewish voters. Why the fuck is so much attention and whatnot given to them and what they want? White people make up 69% of the US population, but that number drops to 55% if you take out those with Hispanic backgrounds who consider themselves white, because white people are racist even amongst white people. But there's no, you know, you can't even say white pride without being called a racist. And you don't think there's something going on here? You think it's all legitimate? You're out there you're gonna go vote like your vote fucking matters? I dare ya. I fucking dare ya. I promise you your vote doesn't matter. Whoever they want to be president, which is Trump, will be president. I bet all of the money that Trump wins, all of my everything, I would bet that Trump wins. Because that's what they want. You got to remember, Trump lost by 2.7 million votes and was put into office by that same swamp he threatened to drain. A lot of those people are still in the swamp. A lot of those dual Israeli citizens. I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy to sit here, and when I'm done, I'm going to see how many people actually came through. At one point, it said the number was 12, so that's usually a significant sign that quite a few people were watching. And yet, none of you have opinions on any of this. This is like the number one shit in the world. The Israel stuff is the number one shit in the world. The genocide that's taking place. The number one, nobody has an opinion on that? None of you have an opinion on Trump, Biden, on the fucking false flag shooting, on the lack of fucking live videos and cell phone videos from this supposed shooting? None of you have any opinions on this? Strange. Well, people don't want to say the things because you're going to make them look stupid. How am I going to make you look stupid? If what you say is really smart, how do I make that look stupid? You make you look stupid, not me. I just read what you say. Yeah, that Marissa chick. I would give anything for her to not be a stereotypical fucking troll, stupid, just a stereotypical Christian about things. I'd give anything for her to be fucking, able to communicate and make simple points. Just make a simple point. Talking about earlobes and shit. Get the fuck out of here. Men have specific earlobes. Women have specific earlobes. Get the fuck out of here. I don't know. I can tell you, I actually really like having this example, but, my wife, who I know is a female, through and through female, watched her get pregnant and all that good stuff. She has an Adam's apple. It's just what it is. She's actually the second chick that I spoke about having an Adam's apple with. And actually that I had fooled around with. And the other chick, her name actually happened to be Angie as well. Well, she was Angie. But she had a twin brother. They were He-Man, She-Ra shit. And she had the Adam's apple and he didn't. Like, what? What are you doing there? What do you cry about there? Just think about that, man. Think about how completely distracted people are by something that is so utterly stupid. It just doesn't make any sense. I asked her, why? What is the purpose of doing it? And she says, to force us to be gay. If I think a guy is hot and that's really a female, then that's forcing me to be gay. And it's like, but if you never know that they're a female, they live and die as a man, then how do you know, how does that make you gay? That is so low level stupid. It's actually shocking. I guess I could kind of maybe brainstorm it a little bit, but just to think that somebody could be that stupid is shocking. I don't know. It's weird. You don't have any real arguments and that's the best you could come up with. At least you weren't going with the Bible, because that's just fucking nonsense. But, they're forcing gay on people? What a dumb... I can't... Is that insecurity? That I can't even imagine where that comes from. How that can be your thought process. I've been tricked before on TV.
Nice person. My slime fell and I gotta clean it up.
So you're just doing it, right?
I didn't do anything. He's messing with the phone.
No. I didn't turn it on. It's
You
on
did.
right
You're
now.
doing this.
Okay, come here.
It's on right now, and I switched the covers on. I switched the covers.
Okay, clean up your mess.
Can he help me?
Nope.
Why should Nate have to help you clean up your mess?
Your slime, you bought it. You bought it off me.
Clean it up, Nick. No, you don't. You'll do it. You'll be fine.
Okay.
$15.
No. He can just clean it up. Clean it up, Nick.
20.
It's I don't know, it's just weird. Like, the thing is, too, like, I always feel smarter after I do this. Like, when I make my point, I feel like I'm making an intelligent point. I feel like, you know, you have to be dumb to not understand my point. And it's the opposite of that. Like, I mean, the whole thing where you believe that somehow they're able to select female babies that can grow up to pull off men, but not just men, talented men like male singers, or the other way around. Even more so the other way around, where, you know, you're finding these male babies that that are going to be able to grow up to be Britney Spears. Right? Like, it's so, you know, the weird thing. It's just weird. It's just weird how stupid we are. How willingly stupid we are, and how we argue it, we fight it. Obviously, I lost my train of thought for a second. Stupid show. But it's the same shit. Just, it's the same shit over and over again, just different manifestations of it. Same level of stupid. What? Okay, so you did it first, right? Okay, there's no yes but. Okay. Yeah, why don't you guys just stop doing it? This is I just don't understand, man. I always thought if I do it, if I embrace the role. What? No, he doesn't. He needs to stop fooling around and take care of it. I always thought that if I did this thing where I embraced the narrative, I embraced who I am, I embraced what I see, and I stopped pulling back, and I just talk about it, that there would be a lot of people that would be like, you know, thank you. Finally, somebody is saying these things. I've been thinking these things, you know. I thought it would work. Oh, look, we had a like for a second, but I guess we lost one. But I just thought, like, you know.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do. It's fusing.
Okay. Seriously.
I don't know what to do.
Figure it out.
I know.
I want, figure it out.
No.
I'm sure you can figure this out. You're probably going to need more than one of those, I would imagine.
No, I mean, like, it's in the
Don't worry,
construction.
I'll sit on the couch for you.
Okay.
Why don't you help?
Why does he have to help? You did it.
He sat on this thing.
I sat on the couch. Yes.
Okay,
but I didn't
so
touch
what?
that.
So what? You're more than capable of cleaning up a mess, dude.
And
A mess that you made. You can clean it up. And if I come in and I still see it's all messed, that you haven't done a good job, you're probably gonna not be happy with the results. I don't get it, man. It's crazy. It's crazy how you know how we want to be bigots. Like, it's been pushed on me many times, you know. You do the same thing with the Jews. You're a bigot towards the Jews, and I'm not. If you are a part of that cult, and we can have a conversation, and or something happens and you decide to leave that cult, I welcome you with open arms. You may have all the stereotypical features and looks. I'm pretty sure one of my best friends, actually I know he was, one of my best friends growing up, his family was Russian Jew, and they had moved, his grandfather had moved here, and, you know, changed the name from Sandrovich to Sanders. But like, he, you know, if you saw him today, it'd be funny because he looks like one stereotypical Jew. He has the glasses, his hair, his this hair right here grow longer than everything else. He bald on the top, kind of shit. Short, you know. He had all those Russian Jew features, and I never. I mean, if I saw him today, he'd be my brother. You know, I wouldn't have any issue with him. The funny thing is like, when it comes to all that shit, like, I believe myself to be a much better person than most of you. Like, I'm sitting here not spending time with my kids, wasting my life on trying to oppose those who inflict genocide. There is fucking genocide happening right now. And if you're not concerned with that, I believe myself to be a better person than you. You know, when it comes to the way that things are, my belief is that we should lay all our cards out on the table. I should say what I think, you should say what you think, and then between the both of us, we should be able to come to a conclusion and say, okay, well, this part, what makes the most sense? We should be able to figure things out amongst us instead of everybody, you know, living in their own little bubbles and like the Marissa chick talking about, oh, well, I can't answer questions. I got to do this and that and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. I don't have time to chat, blah, 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 like that kind of shit. It's like, okay, I believe this because of this. I believe this because of this. Why aren't we doing that? It's so fucked up. If you have you know, hatred towards, negative feelings towards, you believe there's the transgender gay agenda, why do you get mad talking about it? I mean, it's one thing to say like the subject of it makes me mad, but to express why you feel the way you do and articulate, you know, the reason behind what you're saying, that shouldn't bother you. Like, what about all the people, the Jesus believers out there? Me asking you why you believe in Jesus, that should be something that you love. Like, you, oh, really? Oh, let me tell you, I believe in Jesus because of blah. Like, you should be happy to say that. That's not how this shit works. You question the average person's anything. Why do you do this? Why do you do that? And they get offended. I think people react to, like, they know when they know they're wrong. I think you know you're wrong, which is why you get offended. You know, if you knew you were right, you wouldn't get offended by people asking you to explain it. You wouldn't be offended by people wanting to know more about why you think the way you think. Whoa. Why don't you stop before you guys get yourselves both worked up? You're like borderline on that. You keep messing with each other, Let's see, you both have slingshots right now.
No, we're just testing them.
I know, but then somebody's going to want to test what it's like to hit the other person with it, or accidentally shoot somebody or something, and then it's going to become a problem. So don't let it become a problem. Having boys is fun. Slingshots, you know. Ugh, that one didn't go in right. It's weird, man. It's weird to believe we deserve better, we should have better, and be the bad guy for it. It's weird to argue with people who want to believe it's they. It's the Illuminati. It's whatever. It's weird. You know, it's all about where you're willing to stop thinking. What gets you to the point where you go, okay, there's no more why. Or at least there's no more why I can answer. That's, for me, how this is done. We should always be asking why. And I can take this why thing to the highest point where it actually, unfortunately, makes sense. But that's pretty far out there. I would have to be validated on quite a few levels before what I believe to be true is actually proven true. So,
I'm not doing anything like that.
okay, so the point is, stop messing with each other so that it doesn't escalate into something else.
I'm sitting right here, he's holding it just like that.
I'm not. I'm holding it over
Nick,
here.
Nick,
He was sitting on
Nick,
his head, and I was like,
Nick.
this. What?
Should you be sitting right there to begin with?
Yeah, go sit on the couch.
You think I'm stupid, man. It's so embarrassing how stupid you play. I wasn't doing the thing he says I was doing, like I would always do, like you warned about before you went back outside. Of course you're doing it. So stop doing it or I'm going to take the stuff away. Hello? Okay, well, I'm looking at you and you're watching TV, right?
Yes.
Purposefully just to be rude, right?
Yes.
So shouldn't you get in trouble for that?
Yes.
So why don't you?
Please no.
Why?
Because.
Because it's okay that you do crappy things until you get called out, then you're going to change? Stop it, okay? Imagine living with that nonsense. Somebody that calls you out for what you do. teenage boys, man. And to also not be in that, you know, you're a man because you like cars. You're a man. Men don't cry, and all that bullshit. That the playbook that I've been given for what it was like, what it is to be a man by the society I can't stand, just doesn't jive with me. And so it's next to impossible to try to push that shit on my children. You know? Trying to teach them it's not about how many fucking chicks you bang. That's almost impossible, because that narrative is everywhere. And the only place it's not, at least on the surface, is with religion. But religion's so fucking stupid. I can't teach them that shit. I would feel so stupid. I've read the Bible, not all of it, but the parts that I've read, and I really do want to read the whole thing. It's just such a bad book. It's such bad reading. I always ask people, like, please, if you're a Bible person, give me the Bible verse. Tell me something to read. You know, you would think like the Bible would be one of these things that if you read it, you would feel this like connection to the higher power, and you know, it would fill you, it would inspire you. You'd read it and be like, man, this is great. This makes me feel great. And instead, it's just confusing, goofy bullshit. Especially if you take away, like, it's so much different if I read it to you than if the impassioned, believing pastor reads it to you. You know? One, supposedly he believes, I don't know. I think most people that claim to be religious aren't. Like, they're religious, but they don't actually 100% believe their shit. To the point where a lot of them will tell you that the Bible is just allegorical, but it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be taken literally. And you know, I mean, in 2024, no female is a true Christian because they don't want to sit there and subject themselves to men. No female out there is going to believe that other than her dad and her husband, I and every other man in the world, well, so her dad and her husband are superior to everyone else. But then above her and every other female is every other man in the world. And that females shouldn't speak blah, blah, blah. Like, what's that Timothy? Let me see if I can find it real quick. Just so I can make sure I gets it right. Gotta hang on. Sometimes you gotta be patient. Sorry. This is an actual live feed. This isn't some pre-planned podcast. Sorry. Thank you, Wesley. Yeah, I know what I do now. When I was younger. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I know. I'm trying to find this because it's a really valid point. And I just... Oh, there it is. Timothy 2:11. Let a woman learn in silence with full submission. I permit no woman to teach or have authority over a man. She is to keep silent. That's not even Old Testament shit. That's New Testament shit. And unless you're a female and you're willing to submit and keep silent, then you're not really a Christian, are you? I mean, you couldn't live your life by the Bible. You'd be in prison, you know. And the best part is how all of you eat meat. You know? The Bible clearly says, this is like opening fucking act, you know, right in the beginning kind of bullshit. God tells you that let the seeds and the plants be your meat. You should use animals for their work. You should, you know, use the animals to tow the fields and shit. But you're not supposed to eat them. And then it switches to not supposed to eat meat on the weekends. Then it's just on Fridays. Then it's like, all right, well, I'll do it for a short time. I'll do it Lent. Let's go with Lent. Because it's just too much of an inconvenience to not eat dead stuff. So fucking weird, man. It's weird how Christians, you know, most Christians believe that they're on a ball flying through space. It's like you don't even know your own fucking shit. The very first thing your God does in the Bible, turns on the light in the room that he's in, because I think he's got like a build your own earth kit that he got from like Target or whatever. It's a big aquarium. And after he's going like this along the bottom, the waters of the deep, which is the water in the aquarium, he decides that this is the area where the land is going to be, so he builds the dome. First thing he does is build the dome, the impenetrable dome. And yet most Christians don't know that, I guess. I don't know. It's the first thing. It just goes to show you how well educated and loyal and whatnot Christians really are. Last time they read that shit, they were forced to read it when they were a kid under threat of punishment. So they read it, you know, as fast and as loosely as they possibly could, just so they could get through whatever situation they were going to be put in afterward. It's really simple. Because if they tried to get you to believe that shit as an adult, if you were led to just sort of be free and not have, like, it's really fucked up. We don't even talk about it, but imagine the psychological damage you do to children by telling them that there's a being that is always watching you, always judging you. And this thing, although it loves you so much, if you don't do this impossible set of rules, which they already know they're breaking, you know, they're already eating meat, they're already doing all these things, that they're gonna go to hell for all of eternity. Like, that's not something that as adults we can comprehend, let alone as children. Just like, how did children comprehend the idea that there were dinosaurs? There was a whole planet worth of creatures like us that lived here, and we anthropomorphize them. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. We make all these TV shows, especially the kids shows, like what's that dinosaur show? Hey Niz, what's that dinosaur show from PBS?
Huh? Oh,
Dinosaur Train? Dinosaur Train. Yeah. They got that show Dinosaur Train where the dinosaurs walk and talk and they have families and they're just like us. So when your kid's like, I love the dinosaur train, blah blah. Hey, what happened to dinosaur train? Where'd all the dinosaurs go? Oh, kids, a big rock fell out of the sky and killed everything. Can that happen again? Yeah, it can. Actually, we're long overdue for one. It could happen any day now. What kind of fucking psychological fucking trauma does that do to kids? Teaching them such unreasonable, like, bullshit. Just bullshit. Unsubstantiated bullshit. Completely unsubstantiated bullshit. You know, you want to believe that like the idea that dinosaurs were discovered 10 years after they were theorized, and they weren't discovered like 1875 or some shit. I'm supposed to believe that throughout all the previous 1800 plus AD years, and then 10,000, who knows how many thousand BC years, that dinosaur bones just weren't a thing. And then suddenly in 1875 they started making their way to the surface, and then two guys ran around discovering and naming most of the dinosaurs that we have today. Okay. Oh, and those guys happen to be Freemasons. Okay. Oh, and you can't see any actual dinosaur bones, and you can't, you know, no skeletons really exist, and all that other shit. It's all bullshit. Oh yeah, okay, that's cool too. Like, you're not crazy for not believing shit with the lack of information you have. And that's like the crux of the system. That's literally like their backbone. That's what they build everything off of, is that you're bad because you don't believe what they tell you. Your whole childhood, you're told, always ask questions, always ask questions. If you ever have questions, never be afraid to ask. And yet, they tell you when you get older, when you get to be an adult and you start seeing the world for what it really is, then you definitely shouldn't be asking questions. Street sweeper. Street sweeper, baby, cat, man in a manicure. What a dumb fucking song. A song that's actually made a lot because of the edit. Shimmy, shimmy, Cocoa Pop. Shimmy, shimmy, rah. We like the girls with the hot dog. We like the boys with the hot dog. Do kids still do that shit? Do kids still do those kind of things? The hand claps and the jump ropes and all that shit? I can feel it. It's that far away and I can feel it. vibrating my feet. Ugh, that is awful. How can I be live for this long a time talking about this kind of shit and nobody fucking here? I mean, and nobody has anything to say. It just never ceases to amaze me. It's the one thing about this that's always, like, I can usually figure shit out, right? Or at least an explanation. But I can never figure out why I could have 5 people watching me and nobody has an opinion on it. It's these highly controversial, trending topics. You know, these are the things that are being talked about. These are the things that that rule our world, man. This is what makes our society tick. And people are just, you have no comment. Going back to the Trump shit. It doesn't make your head, like, you don't get the red flags going off and shit when you think about where are all of the video cameras, where are all the cell phone videos and live feeds that had to be in use during at the shooting. Where did it, you know, I like I said before, I think it probably 2 out of 4 people had their phones either recording or were live. I mean, if you look at any concert or any kind of live situation, people are weird nowadays. They don't even watch the show. They watch their phone and then watch it later. They watch themselves, or they'll put them, look at me. Like it's and you can see even you can see in the hard camera. That's what I'm saying. The main camera that was shooting Trump, that was filming Trump. You can see that there are people in the background that not only were filming beforehand, but during and afterwards. Not like they put their phone down and took cover or tried to get out of there. They just sat there and kept filming. Where are all those the video? And there had to be hundreds, thousands of people that were there, right? They literally got footage of the shooter before he was shot. There's pictures of him. So where's all the footage? Where's the aftermath of everybody running and screaming and taking cover because they have no idea if there's any more gunshots coming? They don't know how many shooters are there. They don't know what else could go wrong, explosions going off, whatever. They've programmed us pretty well that in those situations anything can happen, and instead of anybody freaking out and all that, people just sat there. There was no commotion. There wasn't like a whole bunch of cameras getting knocked over, people running, trying to hide. None of it. It's like everybody knew, okay, just Just keep going. There should absolutely be 100% footage of Trump, getting hit and going down from behind him to his left. There was a woman, like, if the podium's here, she's like right there. She's just behind him, front row to the left. And after he falls down, she's sitting there with her big white phone with the 3 cameras on it, filming the whole thing. She never moves. She easily saw what was going down in that huddle, where I believe Trump bladed his own ear, or somebody did. Maybe he doesn't have the... I mean, you got to remember, Trump literally did WWE, and he has Linda McMahon as one of his top advisors. Or at least he had her. I don't know if he still officially does, but I'm sure not much has changed. And Trump's, I think the government and WWE share a lot of similar qualities. But I guess, again, you guys apparently don't have any comment on the situation. So weird. I believe at least 1 or 2 of you are always going to be the Israeli trolls. They're always keeping an eye on things. But I assume that there's other people out there that have opinions. It's not just a bunch of NPCs, right? And what are NPCs even doing watching my shit? You guys just have no idea. Constant fucking pain. I hate this shit. People think like I'd absolutely give up being in pain and functioning properly to be able to go back to making the amount of money I was making and having the job I had and, improving my family's life. Because we were on the brink of that happening. This isn't ideal. It sucks. Being hurt sucks. And no matter what anybody thinks, it's not the situation I chose for myself. This isn't the one I would have chosen for myself. Ow. But I guess I'm get there. At the end point of this bullshit, I'm trying to get you guys to give your opinions on things. I'm trying to get people to tell me what I'm getting wrong. I'm trying to get people to explain to me how what I saw is wrong and how what I'm told to see is actually right. Trump got shot. That's really what happened. Like, I'd love to know why you think that way. I'd love to know why you think there's a gay and transgender agenda. I'd love to know why you're distracted by the thing you're distracted by and why you're not focusing on Israel and the Jews. I'd love to know the reasons. But it just doesn't seem like too many of you are willing to engage. Any of you are willing to engage on these things. How many people do you know that go live to as many people as have been in and out of this with the title that and nobody says anything? No, it's hard to find Trump supporters. Where have you seen that before? Trump supporters are the dumbasses that will go on the corner of the road and have their signs and shit. See, in that situation, it's a group of them. So they have strength in numbers, and I understand that. But You have the strength of you have the strength of being anonymous. You have the strength of anonymity on here. Why aren't you taking it? Put me in my place. Let me know what I'm getting wrong. You're right, right? You're the one that's right. I'm the one that's wrong. Why is this so difficult? Why would anybody believe in something or support something that they can't stand up for, that they're not proud to stand up for? That's what I just don't get. Don't you guys have pride? And not just pride in shit you had nothing to do with, like your skin color or where you're from or your race or whatever. You know, I understand where black and brown pride came from, and it's a response to white people, the white Jewish system trying to make people of color feel inferior for so long. I get that, but it's still stupid. You know, you had nothing to do with that. Your parents had sex. That's why you look the way you look. That's why you're from where you're from. Get over those things. Have some pride in what you think, what you believe. And make sure it's your thoughts. It's not just shit you're regurgitating because you believe you're supposed to. Think about those things. Why do I think the way I do? Is it my thoughts, or are these just, you know, sort of echoes of somebody else's bullshit? You'd be surprised, man. I can't imagine watching any video, any live feed, anything, and the person is like saying controversial shit, saying whatever, and saying, "Hey, you guys, speak to me. I'm live, so talk to me. Let me know what you think." And I'm sitting there like, "Oh no, I'm not gonna say anything. No. I don't get it." But then again, I'm a lot different than most people, I guess. That's all I can come up with. I've always been the black sheep, will always continue to be, and I don't know. Did have an interesting situation happen the other day, but who's to say what's real? I don't know. Anyway, it's funny how the number keeps fluctuating. Goes up to 5, 6, maybe 7, then drops back down, and goes back up. You know, I'd love to hear from a Biden supporter too. I think the Biden supporter would be harder to argue with, honestly. Because, you know, it's like when it comes to Biden, you're arguing against the historical sort of narrative that you know, Biden is just the other side of this, so he's going to say things that are more legitimate because he's playing that role. And if you believe the government works the way it does and all that stuff, well, then Biden is going to tickle those things a lot more than Trump. And you'll be able to, well, Biden has plans for this, and Biden has this, that, and the other. And then it comes down to, you know, like, Biden's not saying anything that nobody else has said. What makes you think Biden's just going to do these, suddenly change things up? Like, and we can never overlook the whole Creepy Joe thing. But Biden's, the thing that I find to be a much more interesting conversation isn't what do Biden and Trump, you know, what's the differences? It's what do they agree on? The one policy that I know they agree on is that no amount of money should be spared when it comes to Israel. Israel has the right to do whatever the fuck they want to do, and we're gonna fund it, supply it, fucking do it. We'll send our guys to do it, whatever they want. And that's the thing that's scarier to me is sure, this may happen if Trump's in office, but with Biden's office, this may happen in so many other cases. When it comes to Israel, this is going to happen no matter who's in charge. And that's fucking terrifying. That is terrifying. These are monstrous psychopaths. These are just awful human beings. Who have done and know about very terrible things being done to children and poor people, and it's just awful. Can you imagine what it's like to be Tara Reid right now? And not hot Tara Reid, or once was hot Tara Reid, but the fat ugly Tara Reid from the government side of things, who had that credible accusation against Biden of pushing up on her and touching her inappropriately while in a hallway. Like, she's ugly and she's fat, so people are going to be like, oh, that's not true. But she was actually attractive when she was younger. And, it's just what it is, man. Trump was in office for 4 years. You know who's been in office or in power since Trump? Kavanaugh. And Kavanaugh's not going anywhere. But nobody's going to talk about Kavanaugh's bitch ass. I'd love for somebody to show up at Kavanaugh's house, like a news crew or some shit, to suddenly show up at Kavanaugh's house and be like, hey, can you go get your calendars for the last couple of weeks? We just want to see what you have written down in your calendars that you keep, you adamantly keep. We want to see if you've kept calendar notes for the last couple of weeks, months. We want to know what you're doing. Oh. That was the dumbest shit, man. The dumbest argument ever given it couldn't have happened because I didn't write it down in my calendars. And I keep a detailed note of all my things, whether it's rape or not, in my calendars. That is the dumbest goddamn shit I've ever heard. Okay. Oh, huh? Nothing. Anyway, I keep trying to quit, but every time I say I'm going to, the number goes up a little bit. Go figure. You should eat a sandwich. You're so skinny. Clearly, that's not working. Oh, I'm stuck in here for a little while.
Dad, do you need lunch?
Yep, I will in a minute.
Dad, are you finished with the phone? Did the alarm go off?
It just did. I'm not finished with it, so hurry up and do what you need to do. What cow? What is it? Cow. Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm done. You guys have a great day. I'm paying for this too much. And I'm not appreciated enough. You guys aren't sharing or liking enough, so I want to hear from you guys, but it's not happening. So you guys have a great day, and all you pedophiles out there, kill yourself as soon as possible.